On this section, we're going to talk about the slope of a line. So all kinds of different things with slope. We're going to be finding the slope of lines. And so to begin with, we're going to look at this. When we're talking about slope, there's something called rise over run. So the rise is the vertical change, right? The vertical change between the 2 points. And then the run is the horizontal change. And that can be kind of confusing. But basically, we have to figure out how far it changed vertically and horizontally to get the slope of the line. Now we have the slope formula right here. And using that, then we can find the slope if we're given 2 points that are on the line. So that will be the first kind of calculations we'll be doing. And then we also want to talk about what it looks like when we're just looking at slope, right? If we're looking at a line on the graph, we know something about it just by looking at the line on the graph. And so if you notice, if a line is rising to the right, or it's called an increasing, right? Notice this right here, increasing is a positive slope. So increasing to the right or rising to the right is a positive slope. If it is decreasing or falling to the right is another way you can look at that. That is called a negative slope. And then if it's vertical, right, that's undefined. And horizontal is a zero slope. Vertical undefined, horizontal zero. Now, if you use the terminology no slope, then I wouldn't really know what you're talking about, right? Are you saying that it has a zero slope? Or are you saying it has an undefined slope? So be sure that you use undefined or zero. Now this little triangle diagram is just to try to help you remember. So it's kind of a memory device that you can look at and remember what a line looks like and how that's related to its slope. Okay, so we're going to use the formula here. And when you're trying to learn a formula, it's just a good idea to just write it out each time, because in that, hold on, okay. I wanted to put a 2 there, not a 1. So y sub 2 minus y sub 1, and those are subscripts, x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now, the subscripts come from the ordered pairs because we have 2 ordered pairs that are on the line. We have the first ordered pair, we have the second ordered pair. You guys, it doesn't matter which way you write them. We could reverse the order of them and it would be fine. Now, the thing I would like you to notice is that if I'm taking the first term from the second ordered pair, then I have to take, like on the y2, y sub 2, if that comes from the second ordered pair, then in the denominator, I have to take the x from that same ordered pair. So you'll notice the subscripts are the same on the y's, that the y and the x that are one's above the other. And same thing with the y sub 1 over the x sub 1. So that's an important part. If you get that mixed up, then you just change your sign, and that's basically what happens. So we'll label this first, x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2. My erasing is going slow. Then we're going to substitute. Now, some of the things that happen with finding slope is that you might mix up signs, right? So be careful with that. So this is going to be, everything's positive here, so that helps. And there's subtraction in the formula. So I'm going to take 4 minus 9. Right, that's the y's, y sub 2 minus the y sub 1. And then I'm going to subtract the x's, so that would be 6 minus 2. Notice the 4 and the 6 come from the same ordered pair, and the 9 and the 2. And that's important, right, that happens. And then we just simplify, so we have negative 5 over 4. So I have a slope of negative 5/4. You can put the negative out front or where I had it on the 5. And then usually we don't put the negative in the denominator, but it would mean the same thing as far as the value, right? It would still be a negative 5/4. Okay, let's look at this next one. So I've already written the formula over here on the other problem, so I'll just stay with that, and let's go with the 5 on the, okay, so the y of the second ordered pair would be 5 minus the y on the first ordered pair. Now notice it's minus a negative, so let's make that positive, right? Minus a negative would be positive. Let me write that out. 5 minus negative 1 would be 5 plus 1. I would prefer that you just go ahead and write that as a plus in your formula. It will make more sense that way. And now let's look at the x's. So I'm going to take the x coordinate from the second ordered pair, which is negative 6. That's minus negative 4, so it will be plus 4. It's common for students to make some mistakes here, so be careful with your signs. All right, so this is going to be a 6 for my numerator, negative 2 for my denominator. I'm going to simplify this anytime that I can. 6 divided by negative 2 is negative 3. All right, so that's finding slope when you're given 2 points. We have some more of these. Okay, so the slope of this line, right, is going to have lots of negatives going on, so you're going to have to be careful right here. Let me write the formula out so we have it on this screen. You will have to know the formulas when you take your test. Okay, so we're going to take negative 5 minus negative 5. We can't really mess that one up, can we? Because my y's are both negative 5. So if I take negative 5 minus negative 5, that would be plus 5. And then 3 minus negative 2 would be plus 2, right? Minus a negative becomes positive. So this is 0 over 5. Now if you did this in the other order, all that would change is that your 5 would be a negative. The 5 would be the negative instead of the positive in your denominator. This is equal to 0. Okay? So if you want to, something that I've shown students before that can be helpful is that you write one ordered pair above the other one. And then you've got your x's and your y's lined up. But remember, it doesn't matter which ordered pair you start with as long as you're consistent in your formula. All right, let's look at this next one. So we're going to take, let's do it from the other way. Let's do 2 minus 0. And then 4 minus 4, so my x's are the same. This causes me to get a 0 in my denominator. So what happens when we divide by 0? Well, we can't, right? We can't divide by 0. And so in this case, it's going to be undefined. This is an undefined slope, and that's because we can't divide by 0, therefore we don't have a defined number. And this is the this would be a vertical line on the graph. That's what happens with vertical lines. And I kind of showed you that on that first or second screen, I guess I showed you. Okay, so now we're going to talk about slope-intercept. I've mentioned this already in some of the previous videos, but slope-intercept is just a form, right? Slope-intercept form is a way to write an equation. And in this case, it's y equals mx plus b. Now, this is a linear equation in two variables, so it has an x and a y. It is linear, so it makes a line. Notice the m in the equation, right? The m is your slope, and b is the y-intercept, and we write a y-intercept as 0b. We've also talked about intercepts, right? X and y-intercepts in the previous lessons. Okay, so we're going to use this here. It says find the slope and y-intercept of each line. Now these are already in function notation, right? So they're written as f of x equals. Remember that this means the same thing as y equals negative 2x plus 6. And if we're looking at the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, then you can see that the m is a location, right? It is the coefficient of the x term right here. So my slope is negative 2. And then we've got a 6, so my intercept is at 0, 6. And remember, this is the y-intercept. So it goes through the y-axis at 0, 6. On the next equation, right, that's the same as y equals negative 1/4 x. So my slope is negative 1/4. And notice I don't have anything written out here because we don't write zeros in equations. But we could write it out just to think about it that way, but we wouldn't leave it there, so we'd take it back out. And that means that my intercept then is at 0, 0. All right, 0b would be 0, 0. Okay, let's see how much time we have. I think we can do these, and then we'll stop on this slide and start another video after this. So to find the slope in the y-intercept, we are going to solve for y and put it in the slope-intercept form of y equals mx plus b. So on the first equation, I will add 3x to both sides. And that gives me negative 4x equals 3x plus 6. We divide by negative 4, right? Because we're solving for y. We're just rearranging the equation, really. And so y equals negative 3/4 x minus, if I simplify the fraction, it would be 3/2. All right, and so that one's done. On the next one, we're going to just add 7 to both sides. So we get 2y equals x plus 7. And then we divide all the terms by 2 so that we're solving for x. Now sometimes when you see x over 2, you're not quite sure how to write that. Well, that just means 1x over 2. So this would be 1/2 x plus 7/2. All right, so I'll stop this video. I'll finish this lesson starting up with the next video.